Political parties is one of the political institutions in a competitive democracy, which also serve as an index through which democratic governance could be compared in states, in that the structure and the operation of the party politics tend to serve as a measuring rod for defining the instability in democratic system. Welcome to the June 12th special of National Talk on Echo Television Africa. And today, being Democratic Day, we're actually going to look at something very, very important, which is, will party politics make it in 2023? I'm not alone doing the show. I'm Sarah Elisha Dasham. I have with me two great personnel, and I'll be starting with the legal practitioner with us in person of Godfrey Matthew. You're welcome to the show, sir.
My pleasure, Celia.
And I also thank you so much, Mr. Godfrey. And I also have Lillian Madaki. She is a media practitioner. You're welcome to the show.
Yeah, my pleasure. Good evening, viewer, and then good evening, my friend.
And happy democracy too.
Happy democracy too.
Thank you so much. So today on the program, because we are celebrating June 12th, which is a Democratic Day. And we know initially it wasn't even June 12th, it was actually May 29 before we shifted it to June 12th to, well, I say let's look at the first time which free and fair election was conducted in 1993, which was formerly known as the Abiola Day, now known as Democracy Day. Now, looking at the topic, would party politics make it in 2023? And we have lots and lots of things built together under that topic, because we'll be looking at money politics, which is in play. We'll possibly look at even voter apathy. We'll even look at other things. And then I hope that before the show will finish, we'll be able to give answers to viewers in, looking at how we're going to celebrate democracy and if really we are actually celebrating democracy. So I would like us to start first and foremost from answering this question. Will party politics make it in 2023? First and foremost, we also have to even look at what is party politics in the first place for viewers to actually understand if truly it's going to make it in 2023. And I'd like to start with Mr. Godfrey. What do you feel about party politics?
Party politics is simply the internal arrangement of parties on how to access political power. And it also has to do with the internal mechanism of the various political parties within the intra-party structures of who they want to be there. And it is through party politics that you sometimes find the issues of deciding who among the aspirants will be the party candidates. And even if he becomes a party candidate, the issue now of selecting the bloc that will support him. And also the issue of who are his followers, who are his loyalists and godfather come into it. But most importantly to our democracy, party politics has to do with the preparation by political party to take over political power from another party.
Thank you so much. So we're looking at having a fair ground for every political party to be actively involved. Now, Mrs. Lillian, I would like to look at the fact that from onset, if we're looking at party politics, we cannot do away with the fact that Nigeria is more like a fatherland. Therefore, women are kind of, will I say, marginalized, permit me to use that word. Now, would you say that have affected the party politics, or it has actually affected politics, so to say, in Nigeria, looking at that is the ground? Let's take, for example, the APC primaries we saw, where a woman that we were finally happy that a mother will represent, and then we saw her giving in to the man. So what do you say concerning that, the place of the women?
Yeah, thank you very much. And when it comes to politics generally, and generally on issues on this earth, there's nothing you cannot achieve when you properly engage the women. And then coming to politics, of course, women constitute the bulk of votes that goes out to make someone a winner. And then when the women now try to become, like in PDP, there were 19 women who indicated interest. And at the end of the day, to aspire for different political positions, at the end of the day, just 2 women emerged. And the 2 were not even sure. But I know of one whom we can say we are sure has emerged, and it's quite unfortunate. And then it has also affected not just the party politics, but the cycle generally, the politics generally. You know, there's this thing about women. We are a kind of wonderful creatures who are always mindful of what will people say about me. We are mindful of integrity. So we don't just do things like that. Women don't just do things, they are always mindful of that. And when you get them included in the process of governance, you get more result. So at the party politics level, you look at the whole structure of the party where it is only the woman leader that will now be a part of the executive ESCO of the party, and then coming again to attend critical decision-making meetings where she will only be the voice. She will be overpowered. So, of course, lack of including women in the party politics has affected not only the political parties, but then the polity and then the society generally. Because when women are given space in the leadership process, we will get more result than what we are seeing.
Mr. Godfrey, I don't know if you want to react to that same question.
Yes, with respect to women, I think a general appraisal of the political situation in this country clearly shows that women have not been encouraged to involve actively in politics. Let me start with Plateau State. Plateau State Senatorial Central District is the one that is supposed to present the governorship for this year. But you ask yourself, how many women indicate interest or indicated interest in the issue of contesting for the seat of governorship? I was able to speak with somebody. I call her a very prominent lady. She told me that, yes, she wanted participating, but, you know, the atmosphere is not friendly towards women. You find out that many of them are not encouraged by the ambience of the politics. You ask yourself also, come down to the senatorial level, House of Representatives, how many women from, let's say, Plateau State, and maybe extending to other areas. It's only in Adamawa State that we are even hearing that an APC gubernatorial candidate was able to win one, the former governor over the former governor of Adamawa State. We encourage them to participate. Then aside from that, the money politics that is playing on in this political dispensation is intimidating towards any woman that will call herself a mother and a wife to go into politics. Take, for example, 100 million for APC presidential form. Which woman will be encouraged to go to buy that form? Look at the PDP's 20 million, 40 million. All these are monies are not psychologically intimidating towards women. So you find out that structurally, financially, and even in terms of the ambience of the politics, it's not encouraging for women. And other thing that she said that I want to really urge the government is that, and especially the electoral bodies, if we really want affirmative action towards women, we must legislate it. Let it be that in every senatorial district, every political dispensation, either a House of Representatives, House of Senate, or maybe State House of Assembly, there should be a particular position that office should exclusively be for a woman to represent them in that. You say Plateau House of Assembly 2023. Okay, we are zoning that in each of the zones, at least North Central or Central Plateau, Plateau Central or Plateau North, you must give us a woman as a legislator. House of Representatives, give us a woman. Unless we started doing that, I'm telling you, you can't see a woman contesting for any political. Look at the intrigues now in APC. So which woman do you think will go to look for having 100 million to go and be? No. We need to do something practical to improve the position of women in political participation.
I mean, we need to be actively pushing the
we
woman.
We should take a pragmatic and practical step. Forget about the theories of conducting primaries. Let the law have it that in every geopolity, a woman must be represented. Not only appointment. We started with appointment. We are abusing Abacha, criticizing Abacha in the name of democracy. But whether you like it or not, he's a leader in the irony of democracy, because he was the one that introduced the Ministry of Women Affairs. Now, prior to that, by then you have a man becoming the Minister of Women Affairs, but he said, no, let a woman be. So you find out that we are moving gradually. So appointment is not enough. Let's give them a statutory position that you can say, no, it will settle all these issues of primaries that this time around in Bokos Mango constituency, we are having a lady in statutory, their own turn. Next time in Kanam, in the Kanamdeji, we are having it will now show us that we're having a legal process and a firm position of encouraging women to participate in politics. So by the time you are coming as an aspirant as a man, you're already disqualified because statutorily you already have a woman.
True. And I think we really need to be active and proactive when it comes to that. Now, still looking at the fact that party politics, and it's ideal that where we have parties, it shows that there is equal ground. It's a sign of democracy, because if we're going to look at back during the military regime, there's nothing of that form, because it's just one person that gives power. There's no separation of power anywhere. But where we are having all these political parties shows us that that is the sign of democracy. But can we truly say that truly democracy can be seen in these various parties? Because we will see where it's just a person that is actually taking, like say, dominance over everything that takes place in a party. One person take the decision on behalf of the entire body. We will say that truly we can actually see democracy at play in these various parties. Mrs. Limbia.
Well, if it so happened in such a political party, definitely you can't describe that as democracy. If one man will sit down and then dictate the whole thing that happens within the political party, and party, I believe, should belong to the people, because it's a process of getting a leader who belongs to the people and then chosen by the people and for themselves. So, of course, it needs the involvement of party faithfuls at all levels. So it will be a very wrong decision for one person to sit down and then decide for the whole party. But then we are Nigerians, and there is a way, and there are ways things are being done. And it might be out of honor or whatever, but it shouldn't be excessive, so that it gets destroyed the whole beautiful tenets of democracy. It should be left in the hands of party faithfuls to decide who they want to become their, whether flag bearer, or to become an ESCO, or to hold whatever position, because you're going there as a representative of bloc. So if you go there with an interest of one single individual, it means you're going to serve the individual's interest and not representing the bloc. And then, just like every society has its own norm, traditions, practices, you go there to represent people. It means you are the voice of the people at that capacity of representation. So on that note, party needs to involve people, and then the whole party faithfuls in the decision of who represents them in whatever level and at whatever decision-making process.
Mr. Godfrey, I think still reacting to that same question, and we're still looking at not one person making decision. We have seen money at play. We're not going to, it's not news any longer to us that money was especially to the delegate, aspirant. While others were buying aspirant, other people were buying candidates. We saw that while people were getting delegate, others were buying aspirant. But then where is the place of credible, accountable, reliable leaders if we're going to still look at the fact that money has been at play? So it's more like buying the conscience of people. So what are you going to say concerning issues like this?
The issue of political prebendalism, that's what we normally call the Godfather factor, plays out when a party lacks a clear-cut ideology and a particular individual projected himself as somebody that can sacrifice on behalf of the party. When other members fold their arm and allow him to do like that, he has become an entrepreneur of political merchandise. He has invested in politics, buying delegates, sponsoring all the meetings. So by the time he has built a structure, the followers of the party will lack the moral qualification to criticize him for whatever he has done or whatever he will be doing. That is the story of Nigerian politics. Many politicians today, let me be honest with you, ask them, as far as source of funding is concerned, how many members of APC now that are paying their annual dues? They don't pay branch dues because they think they are in power. So once they are out of power, you will find out that the funding of the party will no longer be there. Ask PDP now, they were once in power. How many of their members are faithful in paying their dues? These are some of the things that we are doing. We now look at, okay, he's from House of Representatives. Once party has a problem, they go to see him. And these are the challenges. So when you don't make commitment in investing in that political party, that you believe that it will project your ideology and it will help in serving the nation, you find out that you are clearly compromising. So these people will now come as investors, address the financial solution, the problem of the party. And by the time they are doing this, they build loyalties, they build block. And the block they are building are demagogue, people that will not even like to see reasons in what they are doing. When few of you that are reasonable or are trying to see how things will be done constructively want to suggest a particular thing to the political party or national interest, they will say no. Say abenda 1 year further, meaning that until the leader says so. So you find out that people now follow them blindfoldedly because the parties, even the members also, are contributing. So you can see that this is what we do whenever members of political party are passive about their commitment to politics. You don't pay your dues, you don't contribute in funding the party, you are just waiting for those that are elected. And so you find out those that are elected now see themselves as the indispensables of the party. You can't do without us. So they keep ruling over people and dictating what will happen, even if it's against the party interest. So you can see it also that money politics is one of the bane of Nigerian political progress. It has buried ideology, it has buried prospect, it has buried sound political solution in the interest of what? Money. So these are the challenges we are having.
True. We're having this challenge with money. And Mrs. Lillian, still reacting to money politics. We know the need where Nigerians are hungry presently, if you permit me, and somebody will not care receiving money to sell his or her vote. Why? Because people are hungry. And it seems as if once we are around this political period, that is when we have lots of issues coming up. Not to even talk about people are hungry, there is no lot of insecurity and stuff like that. So people feel, I think the best time I can actually make the most out of this political period is to collect money now, because I am not sure when I'm going to see them anymore. I'm not sure what will happen to my family. People keep talking here and there, here and there. Now, for someone who is having that kind of idea, what will you tell to such a person?
Of course, people need orientation. And I don't think they lack the orientation, but they need reorientation. We need to wake up. We need to compare our status with those of the developed world. How do they do their own? Do money flies the way money fly during our own political occasions to select a leader for us? And how are they benefiting? Are we also benefiting the way they are benefiting? Our people need to understand. But then it all boils down to finances again. You can't embark on such awareness program if you don't have the buoyancy. You can only try, like you're trying now, to do it on the media outfit, but it's not at the same time everybody who listens to the media. It's not everybody who watches it. There are people still at the grassroots who do not really understand what we talk about. All they know is the practical engagement on one-on-one between a political stakeholder who comes to sell a candidate to them and how much he or she is going to give them to give their votes. And I don't blame them so much, but then it has to be stopped. How is it going to be stopped? Until the democratic principles are followed strictly. until the people get involved in who represent them at all levels, until women are not being left behind the way they are being left behind. Why are we good to vote and we're not good to also be carried along? Nobody is fighting to belong. Nobody is fighting to snatch. But we are saying we want to belong, so we could collaboratively do it, just the way we have been collaborating between the husband and the wife in the house to make the home. So that is just what the women want to get themselves involved. Look at it now. The women are teachers and they are doing well. We have women security in the security, and then they are doing well. We even have women who are having royal positions and they are doing well at different levels. Why are people particular about governance? Why are people particular about leadership? Get the women involved and you will get everything right. If not all, at least to a certain degree, that it will at least satisfy the essence of democracy in Nigeria, on the plateau, and then in our various localities.
But you know, looking at it will still take us to voters' apathy, because we cannot really say that such is not happening. It's happening. And you mentioned the fact that it's not enough on the media, because not everybody will get this information. But do you think enough have been done going to the grassroots? Because most of the time, for example, when we had the COVID, they said, you do not know our houses, or the road to the houses were bad. But when it comes to our votes, you pick our calls, you know where we are. So what can we say right now to voters? Mr. Godfrey, I would like you to react to that. Because the grassroots, we cannot say we're going to do without them. They are very important. Because if this information is just going, just like you said, it's not like the information is not there, but we need to be reoriented by giving a reorientation concerning issues like this. So what are we going to say in carrying the grassroots along, knowing the fact that we cannot do away with education? Not everybody is aware of what politics is, because backwards then when we say politics is dirty. But we really need to be actively involved to know what it takes and how to move forward.
Let me start by classifying apathy into two. You have systematic apathy, political apathy. This is one that is created by a political system, political structure, or government institution, so that people will lack interest, will lose interest in political participation. Then you have the self-induced apathy. This is one that people deliberately on their own. I don't subscribe to the idea that Nigerians need more political orientation to be active, especially courtesy of this Buhari's regime that has led to a lot of inflation, a lot of hardship. These are naturally on its own supposed to be an educational process that you will know that you have to be active in politics to affect decision making, to affect who rules you, and then policy formulations. I can tell you categorically, I observed an election, just the North Basa election that happened. I made some settings where I went for observation. About 20 to 19, 20 set of youth were sitting with their PVCs. I'm telling you what I saw. Go and cast your vote. They say they are not casting their vote until the politician came and give them money. I'm talking as a participant observer of an incident and witness. So are you now saying that these people need enlightenment? Apart from that also, to add to what my sister has said, we are appealing political enlightenment should not only be left for the media. Nigeria is so wide that not every corner of Nigeria can have access to media. We have been crying that let NGOs, let civil liberty take example. Why is it that the church can reach out to people to preach to them? Why can't there be sensitization in politics? Why can't the church reach out, sensitize people about politics? There's a video going on now. I was so impressed with the Reverend Father that asks people that they are not going to partake in mass until you show your PVC. And the man was so bold, and you can see that there's no any prospect of compromise from his decision. He was so firm. And those people that were not having it went back. So the church can also participate in civil responsibility of enlightening people. Now, apart from that also, civil liberty organization could equally do the same. It's not everything. I've been saying on different fora that after politics, what happened? That's the problem of Nigerian civil liberty. You will now see a lot of civil liberty organization monitoring election because funds are coming. How many of them are monitoring legislations? How many of them are monitoring financial processes of approving finances, loans that are granted? We should go beyond the politics and delve into the administration. When we started doing this, we will now know that, yes, this is a process. How many of them are now measuring? For example, my sister is talking here. If we can talk gradually, you said about 19 people, 19 female aspirants, female aspirants. These are statistics. For how many times have they been coming? For how many times have they been marginalized? We need to have this as statistics. Somebody will say yes, so that when we go to lobby for legislation to say that we need women, these are their stories in politics. So these are things that you have facts that will back up this. So the issue of apartheid, I can tell you categorically, Nigerians are contributory. You can see what will happen. The 2023 election will soon be around the corner. You will see in Ebonyi State, in the southeast, I used to tell them everywhere I meet them, I said the problem is that the segment of the country with the large number of political apathy is the southeast. You will see a registered voter of about 1.something million. You'll find out 300-400 people come out to vote. Out of that, you will see invalid votes of so amount. So you now ask yourself, what are we talking? Then you say that you are marginalized. If you are marginalized, people want to support you, be active. Come here and see. Look at the number of the rejected votes that will be cast in a year. Invalid votes. So that will tell you that there is a need for voter sensitization. It's not about going, even the political parties. How do you sensitize your agents? How do you sensitize your members? Pay your agents, train them before the election. People who carry a vote like this, they don't know. They will thumbprint between PDP and YPP because all of them are bearing P. So you find out that it's equal, is what? Is wrong vote. It's invalid vote. So these are things that people need to know. I was privileged to be among the first corpers during Goodluck in 2011 that were the pioneer corpers that were used to conduct election. We took that as our own responsibility too. The NYC should have that. Some corpers will come up with an idea as voter sensitization. NGOs will come out to sensitize people. These are the things that will help in the enlightenment. There are a lot of urban illiterates when it comes to political sensitization than the rural illiterates. So we must address that squarely too.
True. We need to really, because it's not just about saying the grassroots. We need to really be more enlightened to be able to take it down there. Now, there's another, will I say, pressing issue. Looking at the fact that if we said INEC, it's an independent body because they are the ones that observe all these political issues that are going on. But how independent is INEC? Because take, for example, when we look at the extension of the APC primaries, we had where civil societies and, even legal practitioners came out and said they were being influenced to actually shift that. Now, how sure or what can we say about how independent INEC is when conducting the elections? Because we really need to be sure that nothing will happen, not because we're having the ruling party, and so something somewhere will happen and INEC cannot really work independently on its own.
Okay. How can you call INEC an independent electoral body when it is being funded by government of the day? Any government that comes in is the government that will fund INEC until INEC is able to fund itself. That is when you can call it an independent body. So to me, it's just independent in name and not practically. Because you see situations where things happen and you go to courts to protest certain irregularities. The same INEC will come as defender. They will not come as an independent body. They will come and defend their action that what actually they did was the right thing. Even with evidences, you will see, before you get to even bring the evidence from INEC, you will know that you have gone through hell. You as someone who has taken the issue to court, what do they call it? Is it an appellant, a petitioner? You don't find it funny. So for you to even get the witness from INEC to appear and all that, it goes through so many rudiments that ordinarily it shouldn't have been. Ordinarily, INEC should have provided it publicly. All the necessary informations required for anybody to access, and then of course go to protest if you're not comfortable. So I don't know that kind of independency. At the same time, there is something critical INEC needs to do. I don't want to believe that we are not yet mature for electronic voting. Until the day we have accepted and then INEC implements this, that we can actually vote just the way you go to any ATM machine, just the way you go to access POS, and then you vote. You can vote for a candidate of your choice in London, England, Ibadan, wherever, provided you are a registered voter from Nigeria and then you belong to a polling unit in Nigeria. You can do that. That is when we can now be able to have a balanced situation of election. But with all that is going on, we're only trying. We're only trying to come up. All hope is not lost. I don't want to go the way we can just give up hope. No, we have hope that it will be good. Tomorrow, I don't know the tomorrow, whether it's next year, 10 years to come, but we're just hopeful that it works fine.
Mr. Godfrey, would you like to react to that?
Frankly, she touched an area that is sentimental about. The issue of the independence of INEC, constitutionally, it is not independent because of the principle of check and balances. You can give that as a justification why it is not fully independent. But in practice also, you find out that certain aspects, body language of INEC clearly shows that they are siding with the government of the day. When PDP was in power, they did the same to PDP. Now that APC in power, it appears they are doing the same. But I can tell you categorically that one of the things I'm studying about President Buhari in his paradox of leadership style is that I found out that administratively, he's performing to some extent woefully with respect to security. But I'm sensing something with respect to electioneering and electoral processes, that he's trying to leave a legacy as one of the Nigerian leaders that sanitize the electoral process. With the coming of the Electoral Act, he has clearly encouraged the issue of transmission of electronic results from polling units to the center. Now, recently, the Plateau State House Assembly of the election petition that is going between PRP and PDP, and also PDP and APC at Panshin North and Jos Basa, isn't it? So you find out that one of the issues is talking about a biomodal vitals accreditation system. We call it BVS. What happens is that if I vote in this station, it will clearly show the voters accreditation, the number of the voters accredited, and then the number of the vote cast. So you can use that now as a transmission to assess the number of people that vote in this area. So this has some tendency of reducing overvoting or any electoral irregularity. But aside from that also, you now look at what happened recently. I don't know whether you are aware of the latest development this evening, that yesterday evening and today morning, INEC is refusing to accept Akpabio in Oyo State because according to them, there is no primary that was observed by INEC as statutorily required. So Akpabio, they refused to acknowledge him as a APC senatorial candidate of Akwa Ibom. Then apart from that also, they were trying to exhibit some sense of independence by stating that since Godwin Emefiele has indicated interest in contesting for the presidency, they are asking that they want to move all the sensitive material from CBN. Now, the question that you will agree with her now, if they move all the sensitive material from CBN, where will they keep it? Are they financially independent to secure those things? INEC is relying on ASU, INEC is relying on COPAS, INEC is relying on some other ad hoc staff to perform its functions. So an institution that is independent should be able to cater for its own staff, and administratively it should be able to address all it needs. The other thing she mentioned that I think is even lamentable to Nigerian juries is the issue of election petition. a petitioner has a heavy burden of proving irregularity in election. And it's the duty of INEC to ensure that every proceedings of election hearing is done in free, fair, and transparent manner. But you find out that they compromise sometimes. And even if you are petitioning for you to get a document from INEC, she said it. It is a Herculean task that maybe it comes with a lock. You will get it maybe on the day you're about to present your case. Only about 2 days to the closing time. So you find out these are the challenges. And then sometimes you find out that even their legal duty to prove, their pleadings are sometimes weak. They will just sit down and rely. And that's why Justice Rodsvivo, one of the justices of the Supreme Court, in the case of Udom versus Umana number 2, he lamented. He said that he wished the duty of proving that election has been conducted credibly should not be put on the petitioner, but it should be shifted towards INEC, so that INEC will have the burdens of proof. In other way, once INEC has a statutory duty of proving that election was conducted transparent and transparently, they will sit well and ensure that irregularities are not perpetrated or compromising with the government in power. So these are the issues that we're having behaving the independence of INEC as a body.
So we'll still have to look at the rule of law, if truly it's in play, because when we're talking about democracy, we need to see the rule of law at play. But I don't think it's actually at play, or I don't know if you have a different perspective or view concerning it, especially when it comes to political parties. Because where there's rule of law, that is where we say truly we are practicing democracy in Nigeria. But I don't know if that can be seen at play. I would like to start with Mr. Godfrey still, because looking at the fact that you're a legal practitioner. So I want to see how much of the rule of law can we see at play in our various political parties, looking at the fact that right now it's all about the highest bidder. If you have the money, the rule of law doesn't take its place. It seems as if the law tends to close its eye partially to some of these things that are happening around.
Let me build on what Lillian said. She laid a firm foundation, and I want to consolidate on that. How many women were given the opportunity to contest in the primaries throughout the country? When you say rule of law, you're talking about fairness and equity. True. Even how many women were encouraged to contest in that office? APC were able to produce Tinubu under a very controversial circumstances. There was attempt to subjugate the electioneering process of primaries election. They wanted the issue to be on consensus. And I can remember the language of the president. They should allow him to appoint his successor, as if it is a hereditary system of democracy we are practicing. But that's not. That got to tell you that the issue of the rule of law has not been recognized even in the electioneering processes. Now you look at it, the issue of the rule of law. In PDP, the zoning formula, according to most people in the PDP, ought to be in the East, that let them have an Igbo president as a president or somebody from the East. How was that observed? A lot of grammar of politics have subsumed that worldview to a conclusion that you don't need it again. All we need is a candidate that will deliver. And we sometimes believe in Nigeria as if a particular region has a monopoly of the best brains or the best political wizard that can salvage this country. But that is not. You bring in the issue also of the rule of law. I can tell you it's something I independently work upon. You look at this, what we call World Justice Project Index. There's what we call Rule of Law Index. And what they normally do is they release a result of particular countries, nations all over the world. For example, Nigeria from 2021 to 2014, Nigeria has been under the rule of law index of 139, 141, 137, 138. As I'm talking to you now, 114, 117, 118, 120, that's the highest. As I'm talking to you now, the latest Nigeria is that for 2021. Nigeria is 129 out of 132 countries. So this got to tell you that they look at how transparent your democracy, how independent is your judiciary, how equal, the issue of equality in appointment. So these are the index they use. And I can tell you, if we are celebrating Democracy Day today, we have to look at how are those indices of democracy collaborating in terms of reality and practicality. So failure to do that clearly shows that we are lagging behind as far as rule of law is concerned. How many people were jailed? Deborah was just killed, okay, extrajudicially. Another person was killed and nothing happened. Look at the killings in Kaduna. All these issues are the things that you look at and the body language of the government. So what is the dividend of democracy and how are Nigerians experiencing the rule of law in this regard. So these are the statistics and facts that draw us back whenever we are talking about this. And so the rule of law, in my own assessment, is fairly. Judiciary has been on strike. How can you assess institutional efficiency? University is on strike. Doctors are always on strike. We are pleading with them. Many of them are leaving the country. And in this global area, they are the third largest. Nigeria is the third largest immigrant with workers outside the country. So you find out that what are we doing? How can we talk about the rule of law? We are far lagging behind.
I don't know if you want to react to it, looking at the fact the rule of law is not in place. There's no fairness, there's no equity. In fact, even the media have been shunned from, being in certain places. So I don't know what would be your take concerning the way forward, because if really we want to celebrate democracy, we really need to look at issues like this.
Of course, when we talk about equity, when we talk about fairness, when we talk about inclusion, there are certain group of people who said that, of course, have been kept aside and then as though they are not part of the country. When you look at the women, like I had said, I don't want to overhammer on it because I'm a human being first before I talk about being a woman. So anything I do, I look at myself as a human being and then a credible human being to do that before talking about whether I'm a woman or man or whatever, because that was just a circumstance that surrounded my birth, of course, which no one can talk anything about. And when you look at the persons living with disability, they are also being excluded, but you need to go to meet some of them. They are down to earth. They have what it takes to offer. They have also been, just like you talk about the media, you go to certain places, very, very important information needs to be known, needs to be heard, needs to be understood by the public. But media will not be allowed access to such information. And of course, it's very, very unfair. We're living on a kind of unknown that if exposed, people might run away from where we are seated. So of course, we have not done well when it comes to that. Recently, I contested the State House of Assembly of Bokos constituency, and of course, I lost it at the primary election. So we're all in Abuja at the party secretariat, and all of us who lost, including those who happened to win, were there. And then we look at certain issues, and I was made one of the 7-man committee who will draft the communique to send to the party leadership. Some of those things we pointed out as our areas of demand, that there should be a situation where we have exclusively reserved positions for women in some political years. It should form part of the legal framework. As far as the party is concerned, we're pleading that that should take place. And then we also pleaded that there should be a kind of twinning. Yeah, there should be a kind of twinning where if this political year is being ruled by a man, the next political year we raise a 10-point kind of submission, and I will also let you have a copy of it. Maybe you could help us hammer on them, because we really, really faced a sad situation. Yes, of course, coming to votes buying. Men are coming to buy votes for men. Why did the men not buy the votes for the women? Men gather the money from the whole inheritance we had together with them from our father, not their own father, leaving me alone. But they carried the whole thing and then went to buy votes for their fellow men to come and also deal with me. It wasn't a sin becoming a woman. So to me, they should be proud that we have women. Women have so much to give, to offer to the society. And if there will be fairness in the democratic and governance processes, let me assure you that all these things we are yearning about would come to pass. True. I can't imagine where someone is being stopped from voting because she's a woman, and we walk out of that. Gambo Sawaba led a fight in the past, and then some other prominent women led also the fight. And today we have been able to get to start voting. and we're given the liberty to also contest. But then that ends in the book. They said women don't love themselves, and I don't believe it. Why don't I believe it? Women are in Zumuntamata. Come and see how they love themselves.
True.
They are always beautifully dressed in anko, attire, and all that. Call them for the comfort of one of their daughters. You see women. So you mean we don't love ourselves and we wear anko that the men cannot wear? They don't love themselves to a point of wearing ankos. I'm telling you. But we wear ankos because we love ourselves. So how dare you? Somebody goes to the house to give an order in his own house to say, I'm the man. If you go to vote that woman, be sure that you will come back to this house, pack your loads and go. You threaten us and we do your wish. And you now say we don't love ourselves. How?
I think it still boils down to the fact that just like when we said from the beginning, Nigeria is practiced under fatherland. It's a patriarchy government. So permit me to say that until we really, because from the look of things, as a woman, you need to push for a space for yourself, because it's unlike already the ground is fertile for the man, so he don't need to push further. But we as women, we need to push further. We need to keep proving ourselves over and over and over and over.
And let me tell you one thing, please, that you as a woman contesting for any political position with a man, you are not being confronted with only one propaganda the way the men face with themselves. You have your own separate propaganda of being a woman that to them is a sin. Yet they can't live a life without a woman. So for you to stand as a woman to contest any position, let me tell you, you must be a hero. Even in that bold decision alone is enough to say the woman is a hero. And then I am sorry to also say it, that this particular government doesn't regard women. We saw the government of the past, of the Goodluck Jonathan, who gave the women exactly 35%, as at that time we were even yearning for 45%. We were even pushing for more. Yes. All of a sudden, our hope of pushing to get more just got dashed to 3%. Now we're even talking about 1%. Here on the plateau, we have 0%. Why am I saying we have 0%? Look at the State House of Assembly, where we have 24 legislators representing the 24 constituencies, having just only one woman amongst them. And if care is not taken, the next assembly may not have a woman or will end up with just a woman. How can we now be a legislative arm state with just a one woman at every tenure? Is very, very unfair. And I must say that the past regime did it, maybe because of ideology, because they always look at the head. If, of course, the president did not do well in improving, encouraging the women to be part of it, you don't expect the governor to do it, to do a contrary thing. But then I'm expecting the governor to have done better. But I have not heard of a woman's name that. But the governor has been attached with Nentawe and whoever he is sponsoring. I have not heard of a woman he was sponsoring in the State Assembly and all that. I have not heard of a woman he was sponsoring for the House of Representatives, for the Senate, and let alone talk about the governor. I've not heard of that woman. So at least he should change his own mentality within this short period of time to be able to prove something. APC should change their own mentality. I don't want to go political party way now, because I've not been called upon to stand as a platform. I have been called upon to talk as a citizen. So yes, so the leaders need to balance the equation.
Okay.
Yes.
Our time is quite spent, but I would like us just in the next 30 seconds each. Now, with all this that is happening with the party politics, how can we now promote patriotism? Because we need to be patriotic. We need to be patriotic to the Gulf, to Nigeria. We need to be patriotic citizens at every point. How can we now encourage patriotic electorates, patriotic aspirants? Because number one, we need to be patriotic citizens. How can we do that? Just 30 seconds from you. Let's start from you, Mr. Godfrey.
We will keep talking as we are doing now, sensitizing people. And we should also act right. You know, we should also act right in the fear of God and in the respect for our conscience. I cannot vote for a candidate because he's from my tribe. If I want to vote for a candidate, I will look at the needs of my state. Does my state really need him? The problem my state is going now, will he be able to save him, or is he being used as a subterfuge to promote another person's interest? So this is what should come to our mind. And we should also keep trying, and one day, like Jesse Jackson will say, keep hope alive, and it will come to reality.
Thank you so much. Mrs. Leader, also from you, 30 seconds, how can we be patriotic?
Yeah, first of all, we have to have the positive mind that things could actually work right. We don't need to lose hope. And secondly, we have to be participating. We don't just leave things in the hands of those who do things the way they feel like doing to suit their purpose, and we sit down and then back at the back. It's not going to be so. So if we get involved at every level of the politics, from every level of governance, from the polling unit to the ward, up to the local government, to the state, and all constituencies, I think we can get things right. When you sit down and fold your arms and you wait, they go out, they do rubbish, come back, you complain, it wouldn't solve situation. Let's all get involved and then call a spade a spade. Let's not continue to hide things the way they are going as though all things are well because the person is my tribal person or not. No. We have to get out of our shell and then begin to do things the way other worlds are doing.
Thank you so much, Mr. Godfrey, Matthew,
Pleasure.
and also Mrs. Lillian Madaki. Thank you so much for honoring us with your presence here and also enlightening.
Great pleasure.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you very much, and thank you, viewers too.
And also to our viewers, remember, you cannot just stay at home and keep complaining about the narratives of things. You need to be actively involved in politics and change it to suit however you want Nigeria to be. Thank you for being here with us. Thank you to all our supporters and also to all our viewers. Thank you so much for keeping a date with us. Have a blessed good night and happy Democracy Day.